Welcome. Welcome to a group tarot connection. I'm Josie, and it's a pleasure to connect today, September 15th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Do you have water? How do you wish to receive the messages today? You can choose if you wish to simply listen and breathe and experience it. Maybe you wish to create or doodle or draw or write at times. Maybe you wish to do something I didn't even share. Trust that how you wish to always receive connection and guidance from those that we call in and welcome to support us can be how you wish, how you so wish. To have lots of water. There is definitely a message to hydrate and to maintain hydration levels coming into this eclipse season. As well, you may see that always, please, there's an invitation to review at any time when you are so guided. You can go to the playlist that shares ground base tarot, and there's then the whole list of ones that you might just kind of follow with your intuition and see which one you are nudged to listen to. You can even scroll towards a certain number of the video or part. For it sounds like even in that invitation that we have been in some good review. What is asking to be shared is that this is incongruence to our studies together with D School is a time and a space where we get to step in and connect live here on YouTube, welcoming in our ancestors, most beloved and honorable, welcoming in our connection to our most beauteous body and how it's moving or not moving. Welcoming in our relations to the earth. Feeling how you give of your breath, give of what is processing in body to earth, to air, sharing out, as well as then opening to potentially receiving the space, or the energies of earth, air, ether. Ether is the space. You're sharing to acknowledge these five. And as we welcome in the ancestors, and since this is a collective and group tarot divination, we can also welcome in those beings of light not in form, those beings that even may be winged ones. I welcome in the angels to support this process with breath, with heart, in body, of earth, of air. I welcome in the trees to surround us, to comfort us in the expanse of all the energies that may move in and out and around and within, to acknowledge the sounds that you wish to bring in, the names, the string of loved ones that you wish to welcome and honor, the prayers for those who have passed on and have walked before us, have breathed before us, even if it was simply yesterday. And yes, it can get quite crowded as we welcome in all of the elements, the angels, the ancestors, those most recent to those most ancient. So to acknowledge how much breath and water you need to take in the process. And at times, if you need to step away, you're welcome to, and then to come back. If you wish to contribute anything to the discussion and the divination, you're welcome to share in the chat. You will have seen as well that there was a change to the scheduling of the divination group connections this month. The new moon, I was going on for the ground-based tarot for the past couple seasons on new moon, full moon. It synced in with the moons to support you in starting to sync in with the rhythms of the moon and the moon cycle. For the solar cycles are so apparent, it's nice to sync with the moon cycle to support you in the equilibrium of what might be felt or experienced outside of self. And so there was a big ask this past new moon to take back space. And how sweet it was for a new moon divination connection that we receive silence instead of connection. For it's quite special time in the new moon to sit and be in silence, to be with all those you call in your most personal times. And so that invitation did not stop. And even as we prepare and step into the lunar eclipse in a couple days, and then into the solar eclipse, right, at the beginning of October, there's an invitation to have some further space between these connections. So it can support your studies of energy, which may use mind, intellect, knowledge, understanding, processing. And for us to be able to check in, but also then gift you space to divine for yourself between, to listen into the rhythms of the body as well as the moon, and to see how they can collaborate, integrate. And so I look forward to seeing when the next one of these comes. But I know this one most definitely is for pre-eclipse season, a lunar eclipse and a solar one. So I first just bring out, since we welcome in the angels and the winged ones to support this process, I'm bringing in 2 cards from the Angel Prayers Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. You are welcome to also, if you have angel cards, to draw from them and to share which angels wish to be named. They can be quite chatty, can't they? So right away, Archangel Zadkiel comes on this card in this beautiful purple tones. Transformation. Ah, look at that alchemical pot. Yes, we are in process of this, in process. Thank you, Zadkiel, for supporting me to transform my past challenges. Yes, there was an invitation in the Patreon, and you're welcome to see that I'll give some writings and further prompts for all members, even free members, to kind of between these videos to support our process. And I welcome also further comments there. But there was a kind of a prompt on top of taking back space this new moon to really look at decolonizing time, our concept of time. It's time. It's time. So I look forward to sharing more of that potentially in live energy study as the questions come. But this already comes up about past. And honoring that what has passed, just as we have honored whom has passed on before us, even as we breathe here, we acknowledge that we sit, we breathe, we live with a multitude of energies. That then the concept of past is not like just about yesterday or about past. It can be potentially also about past remembrances or instances, past discussions, past contemplations, past. Do you see? It could be mental. It could be it could be something that is still being chewed on, something that just hasn't fully been digested yet. So it doesn't always have to be felt as old or something that, when it shares supporting me to transform my past challenges, this is like that they're sharing this may feel like more so an ongoing process of remembering to digest or chew your food. It's like when you might stop in contemplation when you're eating your dinner or when in cooking, in the doing of something, in the processing of something, in the changing of something, in the pot. You can think of this in cooking and kitchen, or even, of course, in the alchemy of that we speak of within energy. So these are things that have kind of stuck in that process. Stuff that come up that you're like, in the cooking, they're almost like that you're like, oh, maybe I put too much of that salt in. Maybe I spoiled the brew. It's sometimes reflecting on past actions or inactions or inaccuracies or inadequacies that might start to arise or has already surfaced. And so to know that it's not an eradication process of transforming, right? Transforming. It is more so a process of seeing it and kind of then going, right, this just reminded me that I still have a bit of piece of food to eat. I still have a bit of something to chew. And not chew on, like meaning mull in the mind or in the body in kind of a rotary wheel. But to move through just as you would break down food. Just in going, what are your processing techniques? We know our processing techniques in processing food and digesting food. We chew, we swallow, right? And then allow our body to digest and do the process, the functionings that we don't have to kind of like support it in. And so there's a sharing of that, like be it that you believe that an angel is supporting you in this process, or that it's simply your body and your energy body in that like aspect of digestion and transformation within, that it doesn't need your assistance. And so there's just then a reminder for the things that they cannot assist you with, or the things that you simply have to do yourself. Mm. And so it's giving time to chew. And the chewing in us processing past things is usually in the doings that we find creative or meditative type of experience in. And meditative doesn't mean like always Zen. It's simply that it could be repetitive enough that once you get comfortable in it, you just do it. So it might be that, how people knit or paint, or whatever comes easily and flows. Or it could be baking bread, it could be cooking a stew, it could be, do you see, making muffins. Whatever is simple in the process enough that you can allow then whatever is surfacing from these, what have been denoted as past, before, coming up again to chew on, to process it there. And the next card that shows up is trustworthy friends. I have a fun message with this one. The energy of, so it shares, thank you, angels, for surrounding me with people I can trust and love. Wow. Powerful, powerful statement. They wish to add that friends in our process right now, in our collective process, might vary dependent on your situations. So if you cannot just automatically see this card and go, yes, I have some close friends. Yes, I have some friends that I trust and I love, and that I can be in my mess, in my stew with as well. Not that they're nursing me. Do you see? Friends, equality, comfort in that mirror, in that inspiration, or that elevation, or you do see it's like you ride the waves together. But there is, of course, in this, on top of also the beings pictured supporting each other, they're being supported as well by all of these beautiful flowers and the grass and the trees. And so there's even a reminder that your friends could be in the herbs that you add into this process. The herbs that you may wish to drink in a tea, to cook with, in a stew, to smoke. But this, if there's an invitation of water coming in, it's because, yes, there might be some immense fire, immense. So when we're working with water, right, fire comes. When we work with fire, water comes. We need to work with both to support our transformations at this time, because then things can grow, can be nourished and changed. I don't know. I keep seeing that they're like, we might feel that we're in a pot of soup, right? That's boiling, bubbling, changing, alchemizing right now, right? And that can be, yes, they shared a bit of overwhelm, but that can then also over time, that can look even then like a pot of, well, gold, a pot of flowers, a different type of growth. Something else has formed in it. in the process of transformation. So we don't have to get so caught up on what it was before, to almost acknowledge that in that process of movement, right, the things they're even sharing like outside of you will be sweet to support this shifting, be it of perspective, of insight. Tumult on a larger level. I'm now seeing from farther. See, like, and now that I have looked into the personal, I'm seeing how this is connected to the further pot, almost like the global pot of what will be occurring or what is occurring. And yes, tumult, tumult. Lots of fire and smoke. Wounds that carry and might feel first physical, but run deep, affect and ripple and tremor through into the depths of greater wounds we must address together. Whew. Wow. Sorry, as I see the larger two, I'm starting to see as well what, like, we will of course be then moving through in some of the energy studies. Bring your queries. This is the time to bring in the big queries of seeing if something is that you're chewing on that you feel is personal during this season, to then kind of bring your query, like trajectile it out as well, repel it, or like propel. I'm just like seeing like these kind of lassos or like bouncy things, right? Of kind of like these things that you hold in dear and just going like, this is the tumult or turmoil or thing that I need to deal with. Like I only, it's going like, well, bounce it out, let it spit, let it move out from that experience, because then you may start to see, um yes, that there is almost like a, that support is not just a soother, it's a supportive kind of, and this is what I spoke of even at the beginning, I think, of the movement tarot and those initial videos of, whoo, I'm sorry, feeling the energies of this, of uh how like these, let's say a big implosion outside what you outside of you in like a country or with a big group of things, then naturally is going to have a ripple effect into even the smallest implosions that are occurring at the same time within us. And so there are some tremors. There are some tremors to move through, and hence why there's an importance of moving through the tried, trusted, and true friends. I really get this in kind of like loosening up the reins of like the self, just like like your self rules of how you navigate through this season. You know how people like, I was just like seeing like this person that I came and was showing this beautiful amount of fresh vegetables being grown, and they're like, no, I'm on a diet at this time that I'm not eating any vegetables. And so you're seeing all this like abundant things that could potentially be taken in to support the process, but there's something that you've already agreed on and going, no, I cannot access or take that because I'm doing this thing diligently. They're like, allow those things potentially to shift, loosen the reins a bit on the hardenings of the no or the yes, with those ways that you might have felt, oh, this is good for me, this is bad for me, like potato chips, for a simple example. Yes. So allow this to even expand beyond people, realizing that this is expanded beyond people with food, with herbs, with what access with water, with air, breathing, trees. But don't worry about getting too vast, about bringing too many in right at once to support you. Know your trusted and true friends. Remind yourself of that. Check in on them. Initiate connections if they've fallen a bit. As we take back space to support these processes, it does not mean that you let go of the support network in human form. It just may alter and adjust a bit. Okay. Woo! Good messages. Next one that's calling is the Pure Magic Oracle by Engracia. Or Engracia. Hence why we, I guess, brought in the elements and sharing that is going to be of great assistance. Okay. That was swift. Whew. We see this is number 36, and there's a picture of a heart with the different symbols in 4 directions of the elements, with the heart pierced 4 times, witches' wounds, remedy, magical medicine, sacred heart, another day. Woo! I have spoken of this, I think, a bit in the Patreon, and to some individuals already this month, in the idea of time. As we decolonize, we realize we don't need to think of it even as month. It's of cycles, it's of loops, it's of rhythms, be it of the moon, the sun, their rotations, the day and night, or days. And even as I started to, we feel, yes, that we can commence first with seasons instead of maybe years. You might first look towards seasons. And then once you start connecting to really being in or presence in a season, it can start then you to start to feel and access the shifts in a day. And then we discover that a day in hours, this is kind of wild, but I'll go with this. Let me know if you have questions. A day in hours, right? We know is 24 hours. Or how we have done the clock. But with some of the compression of time or the immediacy or urgency of multiple things that will be potentially, remember the wounds that we are addressing together as well as personally. Is to see potentially in the promise, I will get this complete, or I will do this within a day, right? But there's a point within the day that if it is not complete by that point, you will be like, it will be ready for another day. And there seems to be a gentler thing than kind of going when we're like, okay, we need to get this stuff done in a week, or this all needs to be completed in a month. And if it's not completed in a month, then we're behind schedule and berate. So there's almost invitations like, okay, if it didn't happen today, what medicine, what remedy can be supported by this point within the day? Be it that herbal medicine, that good chat with a friend, some time with nature, time with water, in a bath if you have the ability, the showering, in swimming. The medicine of the elements, the remedy of your blood and bones, of your peoples, of your ancestors, right? Of your blood and bone mix. Ooh. And tending to that thing or that part of your heart that you feel is most sacred, most dear, most secret, most cherished, most holy, most yes. And these practices of even then softening the diligence of the day, knowing that there is another day. If we are blessed with breath tomorrow, there is another day. That will allow some of the process to not feel as volatile as was initially described in this video, but more like a river, more like just interconnecting rivers from like this vast kind of, ocean of experience and moving into aspects and parts of your heart to support and bring life, bring water to those places, bring movement to those places, bring medicine, bring care, deep, deep heart care. And heart, of course, as we know, they wish to be very clear, it is not just this area in our body, right? Like the beating heart, yes, we know is there. But then, of course, the subtle energy, the ripples of that pulsation, right, move much from there. So focusing on heart is not focusing on one place. It is focusing on how the movement or the sensations are moving through the whole. The whole WHOLE as well as the whole HOLE. For some, there may be a couple to be experienced and move with and explore, and for some, there may be more. Depends on where those wounds kind of have been sown in other areas of our body, be it in the physical, right? These are all the elements. This is all the elements. This reminds me a lot of the magician card even, but almost like a version, a different version. Yes. Okay, so let us, since I mentioned now some tarot, I'll bring in This Might Hurt Tarot by Isabella Rotman. So how to support? We know now we have big support that the implosion, the terror, the explosions, the all the things, the audacity, the insanity that we'll be witnessing in these times. Just get your support network strong and close in your care for your body, in the health, well-being, the foods you eat, and the relations you keep close. Trust that there will also potentially need to be space between these relations, connections, just to give yourself depth and time and space with literally air, with earth. Yes, and with the fire sensed in, as well as out. It will bring up, and again, there's like like the tremors or like the freneticness of fire. And if you're quite sensitive, find your oils to nourish your skin outside. but also to there's some might even need to do good like massage on the feet and in the hands, like the extremities, to support you and the flow of that flame. The dispersion of that energy and flame, as well as almost like the insulation of that energy. So hence why lots of water, lots of water. Some people's nerves will feel like on fire. Some people will feel potentially, if they're quite connected into like the belly and into the ground, the legs, if they feel heavy around these times, to do gentle movements. They're almost sharing circular movements to support what may have been put in or placed in linearly. Woo. And yes, not to forget, of course, with air, there is going to be like there's an ask in breathing practices to get wide, to allow yourself sometimes to encompass not just the like how you might not feel you normally breathe in and out or breathe in and out through the nose, but to like allow the jaw, the cheeks to participate, right? To allow there to be some expression with the breath, and that's going to support some things that are shifting. Will support some of that chewing, what we were discussing earlier about the past challenges. Yes. Okay. So the past card has come up. I'm just going to pull two more. Oh. More. Okay. I say two more. They say four more. All right. So the first card to honor that is the Seven of Wands, where we see this powerful person armed and ready. Look at even the ominous coloring of the background, right? That back into the flame. Like the wands, they're very apparent even in just the color of the card. The movements around of the trees. It's kind of neat. Do you see how there's still these yellows by the feet? Remember that you don't just need to be armed. You can even hold that, right? Like the readiness or the diligence, the focus with one hand to loosen the grip so that you could potentially also pluck a flower, smell a flower, sit back by the tree. But yes, it will feel at times that all the things, all the pokes, all the things that might be feeling, right? Like look at all these poked wounds, right? Like these holes, even here. These two dots that look like those pokings, those woundings. And then we find them here, right? And so they will feel like many things might be all like pressing in at once. Coming very close in mind and body. Holy Nelly. Okay. So there is a preparedness almost, but there's just an ask not to take the preparedness of this time so hyper diligent or hyper vigilant. Many of us are witnessing many different levels of safety and security showcased on a very large scale. It may come across as then we are in very insecure times, from a large scale to even a more local scale, even in home at times for some. And so there is going to be an ask. I understand now with this transformation time and why we are stepping in as a discussion pre this. For if this is arising, look at the similarity of the solar rays in the sun and in the head with the wands. So there's some alchemy required. Do you see? In the solar realms, in the solar cycles, in the efforts outside of us. Hence why no wonder there is an invitation to really have a deeper connection to the moon cycles, more intimate, personal, private connection to support you in these big solar cycles. Yes, there is deep desire for all the wonder that is showcased in the solar, all the growth, all the happiness, all the joy, the contentment, the sweet, the new life, the youth, oh, the children. There is such an interweaving. I even received that when we first connected to Ancestor right before this, before even cards were drawn. Just this deep honoring of the children passed on, and even in passing, they just simply like alchemize or like sweetly become an aspect of that solar light. So if you do, it's not even if you do, it's not even if you like believe in inner child. It's about honoring the aspect of life that is child, be it from what's outside to what's in, to soften that diligence, to remember the courage or the adventuresome nature before there was all the wants, right? Before there was all the things that potentially pricked or wounded, before those sticks became whittled sticks, right? In their growth, in their innate growth. Many are hoping for me to share some rectifications, like meaning like that things are going to get better. So maybe that's why we pulled 3 cards after. There's almost like a plight, like a plea and a yearning energetically in many of like, we are doing the good, you know, doing, changing the things, like deepening, you know, like we are, please, like, when can it just be? When can it just be? Whew. Knight of Pentacles. Yes, big shifts. Big shifts coming in the earth. In the most practical, most tactical, that will affect, yes, into the houses, into the systems, the governances. You're welcome to see. What do you see in this card of Knight of Pentacles? There's something curious of their badge on their garment, on the jacket. And And almost it's neat. I was in the garden and connecting to the earth earlier before this practice. And I, pulled out one of my first carrots and had a crunch. And I'm even seeing like a bit of a carrot in this headgear. This almost like that we are, that yes, there will be some grounded, rooted changes. And some will almost come across political and kind of savior-like, and may not be trusted. This is on a global. Or it could also be, though, to trust that this seems like they're asking us to acknowledge that some message that might be shared as like, this is personal or this is global, right? It's going to be interchanging in this season. So to take what might resonate even personally and to honor how that may apply in a larger way. This, yes. By this point, I am asked to share all the cards that have been drawn, even the two that you haven't seen yet, so that I can move into the whole message and then we can start to close up. Okay? So it was the initial speaking of the wounds that we will be facing in this time, as well as the medicine, the remedy. Do you see? It's like it's not that we just then are in there dealing with like pestering pustules. We are figuring out, remembering the ways to process those wounds on multiple planes, from water, fire, air, earth, ether. Okay. First card of the 5 set is 7 of Wands. The Sun, number 19 of the major arcana. Knight of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, reversed. And they already censored this card. It's the Devil. Okay. Woo! All right. The first wish, please trust you're welcome to write these cards down. You're welcome to take pictures of this spread and to let it process over the season, over the eclipse season, to see how it may shift over days, right? Over days, at different days and different times, when you're prompted to look back in review. Because it's in reviewing, we think we are re-listening. We might be looking at something we may have missed or forgotten at times. But they're sharing in that review, it's simply acknowledging that process of each day that we are in, of transformation, will support new insights, messages for yourself to support you through these rhythms on a most personal level, or most personal internal level in space. There is going to be a lot of like the idea of like wolves in sheep's clothing. A lot of people showing sunny, perfect, yay, this is going to be great. This is very attractive. Grass is greener. There's going to be these kind of the false lights, like the falsities that will look very attractive while we're in these kind of moments of angst or uncertainty. So some of these might and will potentially be false, which is then going to make you distrust when you actually shift and allow, instead of the flame from outside to feel like it is attacking and coming to you from all directions, but then instead to remember, wait a second, I carry a flame. And I can allow that to move this way and out and around me to support what is coming towards me and create my own sun, so to speak. To remind myself that I'm an aspect of that energy. And that will then almost be a beacon to support as I move through this sometimes absurdity that will be around, be it in the news, be it in conversations or in timings or synchronicities of things. Okay. Timings might feel a little off. Intuition might feel a little, that there just needs to be a little adjustment. That will come on a motorcycle. That will come, but it will be progressive. It's not going to come all at once. These good messages and rooted supports, helpers, these helpers. It's almost like I feel like oxen or cattle, like the thundering of like the bison, of like the hooves of a herd. So to not feel that always the knight is a solo or solitary being. It is a rider as well as what it rides. And that rider could even be the heart, did you see, or a collective thing. And what it rides is the thunder of many. I feel like the vroom, but also like the There is going to be some things coming up around specifically a lot of the major empires in the world at present at large, naming, of course, like the US up to the A. Many will be discovering that they are almost somewhat the engine or have facilitated themselves as that, the engine of the functioning of things. From most, again, close to most broad into other countries, infiltrating into even what might feel untouched, lovely lands. And so there will be a distrust even for the rider. Know that there's, remember they shared, there's not one messenger. So there will be some messengers, some support, right? That feels good, rooted, grounded, engaging. Yes, resistance. But then there will also be some messengers and some blah, blah, blah. It just feels like still like the mechanical cogs of the machine to try to maintain its functioning. How does this affect my home? It will start to become apparent how things far will affect home close. Those who are intuitive listen to the plants, listen to the trees, listen to the birds, listens to what's shared within the wind and the breeze. Listen to the mini messengers. Again, there's a reminder almost of people or like of a knight, but also the messengers that come not in human form, of animal, of plant, through the air, along and across the earth. Pay attention to, like some of you might even be enjoying paying attention to migration patterns, movement patterns of animals right now, and seeing different occurrences occur in different areas and pockets of the globe. And that might feel then with these changes in movements from large to small that something's coming. But there is a reminder back to the beginning of this message. We are in it already. We are here. There will be a lot to trust or distrust. There will be a desire to have it all set, have it all settled and understood completely in its entirety, or to have a feeling of deep knowing of how we have moved through eclipse seasons before. They're almost sharing like the tried, tested, and true things that you have done to support you through change. Keep them, but don't like subscribe to them alone. Be open for difference. Be open to difference of ways you wish to move about the earthly planes right now. For they are shifting. And so things might feel a little upside down. Or right side up at times, and then upside down another day, and then right side up another day. And so instead of trying to find a stasis within this season of just one way, to acknowledge that there will be shifts within each day. And so to remember back to this another day, that if there is a time by a time, and they're literally just sharing that. It's like just by a time, like you'll know that like by like 3 p.m. or by 4 p.m. within a day, like if that hasn't been actually addressed, that like there's, like you just may not have the mental or energetic or physical capacity to go into that, for then there's a time to like walk, eat, wind down and care. So they're like, allow yourself to acknowledge that that time may shift. It's not going to be exactly always at 3 p.m., but that in what you are addressing each day, of the global to the personal woundings, and how we are supporting and protecting and caring for our body well-being, as well as our earth, the children, the changes that we are in the midst of. So to acknowledge, yes, the changing wisdoms. Trust what you carry, but that it just may surface differently on different days. And so to trust going, okay, am I in a time of remedy and care, of just taking some medicine and tending to my rhythms and equilibrium and well-being? Am I able then to tend to other people's well-beings, to check in and to, to expand out between me, beyond me, beyond I? And then to know that, I need to change my position for this. That because we are in such critical times, and this is the word critical on many levels, that we will also be aware of critique. The multitudes of critique and opinion, and how that's affected, and how we are also then bring those same types of critiques or critical opinions, or not even critical opinions, but those critiques into how we discern and judge our self actions, our self rhythms, our self maintenance and care. Care is not going to look the same for everybody. Care is not going to look the same for everybody. For some, what you do for care will look, right, like complete bacchanal for another. What some, like, do you see, like, they're like just this is going to be a time that you'll really need to tap in to beyond the preconceived judgments, notions of ways of exploring and moving through these times. Less judgment on feeling at times maybe, oh, I slipped. I provoked conflict today and I'm sharing that I'm getting better in conflict resolution. Or, oh, like those moments, oh, I slipped. I will not normally do that. No judgment. It's not the devil. Devil I love in the mirror. In mirror, what is that word? DEVIL. It's lived. It's what's lived. And it could be something that's lived, right? That then we discover is past, becomes past in us, just even for a season, for a day, that we can then kind of release or give space, take space from. And then at other things they have lived and also still are. We may discover some things that have lived that are still are. And so there might be some changes to ways of living still. And this is very personal in your like day-to-day actions to support the rhythms that are experienced in the day-to-day of the actions or inactions on a much larger scale. Woo! Synchronicities much? Okay. I thank you for bearing connection and witness to this hour to support the closing. I will now take a divine guidance card. It's a fractal card by Cheryl Lee Harnish to support this message that may need to have sips away. Now I understand why they're even sharing. We're in a big time. How to best support our sweet, sweet humans, peoples moving through these, experiencing these. Number 11. Kind of like mirrored infinity with these spirals. The message of this card is infinite possibilities. Your daydreams are the creation of your deepest desires and wishes. While they do hold guidance as to what you are wanting and needing on your path, they also carry a creative force for manifestation. The universe is asking you to allow yourself to dream, to allow the idea that the impossible can be possible. Your greatest wishes in life are a big key to your path, and the entire universe is working with you right now to bring those dreams to fruition. These are big dreams. I want to just kind of take this a little bit more decolonial to realize this is not just individual dreams, but the prompt is to dream from an individual level too. Do you see? Let it bleed, let it bleed, let it move between what you dream for individual to expand to going, then what could be possible on the global? What could be possible in a community? What could be possible on a block? The possibilities of what can be manifested are infinite. Okay. Deep breaths, much love. Yes, this may seem like a deep, deep undertaking. This may feel at these times like that there might not be enough time in some of the days to feel good equilibrium, to feel spacious and capable of all that is moving round and sounded even in sound that you can hear or that you can see. So to know that as sight expands and you see more, when it feels like too much, to then allow yourself to bring the sight in just a little bit, and then to allow yourself to hear more there. And then when you kind of strain the hearing and you're done hearing, you can then soften the gaze even more and see where that gaze shifts and moves to. So in that type of practice, there will be an importance for an access point. Even look at the light at that moment as soon as I shared that. So in the midst of all those shifts, there is need for an access point to acknowledge and remember, right? That center, that heart, and then to allow and honor that heart movement to encompass all of this experiencing in. So do you see that means that they're almost sharing, it's like I'm seeing when we sometimes work really hard on something, right? It can go so fast that or expand so quickly that then like the thing that is right, like we are actually then just like being discombobulated or moving with that. And so they're like, there will be an ask though, that in the midst of that movement of like, this almost feels like what people used to think of as like going with the flow, like, oh, this is flowing this way, so I'm going to follow it. I'm just going to flow with it. I'm going to go with the current. But what they're sharing is I'm even getting like a little dizzy with that, because they're sharing that the current is not going to be that simple. The current within this time is going to be quite concurrent. Two currents, mirrored, reflected from individual to global, but then also in many, many different ways, almost like I'm seeing it like multiple dominoes, but think that all those multiple dominoes are mirrors. And so, yes, take space with that. Take space. Don't need to speed. In the speed of all those concurrent movements, to then remember to find that point of center, remember to find that point of rhythm and routine, of chopping the beans, of moving the spoon in the stew, even having a smoke or a drink, the things that you need to do or you wish to do to support the rhythm of all of these things, to be less judgmental in the alchemy that is required now. Hence why important, keep your friends close, keep them in connection, check in, and dream. I get the dreaming big is not just the connection to just yours, but of course even together to just speak of these things. Because if everyone's acknowledging that there is chaos and chaos is the now, do you see, then it's like, then there's less fear of trying to be perfect and share, oh yeah, I'm having a great time at this moment. It's like, no, we can just then speak of the chaos. And then in speaking of the chaos, right, like then allow some of the liberating even of the sound of then going, okay, well, if this is all chaos, then what if this? What if that? Bring those out into sound, bring those out into the rhythms of communication and conversations. Venture out beyond the things that you feel are just stuck or finite. That almost is the tapping into the infinite during this experience. A part of it. Okay, any questions? Any things left unsaid on my side? Part of the trustworthy friends, those that you trust and love. Remember, if the ones aren't close or accessible in life, this is a good time to start, or not start, but like further your connections, further your relations with the loved ones that have passed on, the ancestral practices. I see lots of kind of offering and all potential altar or spaces and homes, spaces in many different places that you may be and move around in that can remind you of deeper connection, and that can support you in the rhythms of this time. Okay. Woo! May we take some space and water. I thank you all for stepping in and out as needed during this live. And to honor, if you are, I always welcome you back in replay. And until we deep breaths, may you move through with grace, with gentility, these next days. I look forward to further message and guidance during the eclipse season. If you're so wishing to connect on an ancestral connection for equinox, that can be accessed via Patreon contribution. And next D School is scheduled as a scheduled live. You'll see the date. I believe it's next Tuesday, not the Tuesday of the lunar eclipse, but the Tuesday after that, which is after the equinox at 7 p.m. Deep gratitude to the winged ones, the earth ones, the ones below our feet that surround us, the ones that grow up and encapsulate and embrace us, the ones that come down and surround and breathe with us. Stoke that heart. Stoke that breath. Deep breaths, deep love. May we move through this one day at a time. Much love. Take care.